level where we can say, okay, this is the data for Miami-Dade County, Madam Mayor, and whomever else we want to engage, especially funders, right? Miami Foundation, et cetera. Um, we want to make this a robust platform for us to really strategize. And I know many of us have been in many meetings with, the Miami Foundation, for example, about setting priorities and how do we bring people to the table. And I think one of the key issues is often we don't like we discuss the problems, but we don't create a framework for implementing solutions. So I think having this statewide initiative that then can be utilized at the local level is incredibly helpful. But I just like to make sure we don't lose track of the power of having the local data to be able to really kind of operationalize it.
Yeah. And we'll come to the second bullet really is kind of focusing on the data, and we'll talk a little bit about the some of the challenges there to provide data that down to the uh, you know zip code level or the county level and the like. So
Bob, I want to interrupt. I missed a very important thing. People should have the chance to introduce themselves to us after we introduce themselves. So, Robin, would you start very quickly and then we'll revert back?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Robin Backen. I'm the Senior Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education at UM and the founding director of the Office of Civic and Community Engagement. And if I could just add, we just found out that we received our 2026 Carnegie Reclassification in Community Engagement. So very
Hey,
excited about that. And I'm also an urban and environmental historian.
and Marissa's in the same bucket, and so I'll ask her next.
Oh, thank you, Jim. Hi, Marisa Hightower. I'm the Associate Director for the Office of Civic and Community Engagement.
Agatha, you had spoken. I didn't let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, Agatha Caraballo, a teacher professor of public policy at FIU. Currently on a professional development leave as the founding director of the Maurice Ferré Institute for Civic Leadership.
I'm looking at my screen, so I'll drop down to Joshua.
So we're always trying to keep up with University of Miami. So Miami-Dade College also just got the Carnegie Community Engagement classification. So
Well,
yeah.
we
Uh,
we
so
need
I'm
to.
Josh. I'm the college-wide director for the Institute for Civic Engagement and Democracy at Miami-Dade College.
Thank you, Eileen.
Hi, everybody. I guess it's still good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Eileen Coogan. I'm the president and CEO of Allegheny Franciscan Ministries. We're a grant-making organization based in Palm Harbor, but focused around Florida.
And a great past supporter of our organization. Thank you, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy Vidal. I'm with the Central Florida Foundation and a proud graduate of the U. So happy to have all of you who are from the U on with us.
And Terry.
Yes, hi, I'm Terry Mott. I'm in Brevard County. I'm a community organizer here, and please pardon my bold assumptions, but I've written a strategic action plan that I'm going to present to all of you. And it's a plan to try to connect you to our local communities. So you'll be receiving that next week after I hear the brilliant strategy you're presenting today.
Oh, thank you, Terry. I know that Patrick Morris from Miami-Dade County, Office of the Mayor, was on. He was in transit, and I think he probably had to drop, but he'll be back, and he's a great supporter. So I think I've got everybody, and we'll jump back to you, Bob.
okay. Uh, so so the first column in the set of the four strategies is this what I refer to as in terms of trying to develop the capacity to serve as a civic thought leader and a trusted source of civic knowledge. And trust is a really important issue in the state in terms of both civic education and more broadly civic life. And one of the things that I don't think we would been able to do embedded at Florida State University in the previous life was to present the report that was presented through the nonprofit version of the Florida Civic Advance, that we did not have to deal with the various hierarchies of thought and control in the context of the university system. So we're basically we put this out because it's important information. It's essentially bad news information, and our experience with the current administration is bad news is not really favored. And so, at any rate, just to kind of underscore the trust issue is that we're looking at the data, trying to analyze it, as well as try to suggest some ideas for action and in communities. I already talked about the partnership effort. We have engaged a local Tallahassee communications firm in the past several months. It's RBOA, if anyone is interested or familiar with them. And they had been doing our website for the last couple of years, but they also have a lot of another set of skills that in terms of communication. So when we released the report in September, we engaged in a contract with them to essentially the most we could afford was LinkedIn, Facebook, and then do op-eds and the like to try and kind of highlight this. So we're going to continue with the communications effort to try and really highlight the value of civic participation in communities. So this area is what I mentioned in the 23 to 25 was the fourth column. It was like at the end, and now it's the first column. And to some extent, we're seeing this 2026 is the year we need to pivot and get more resources to build capacity. So. Any questions or thoughts about that element of the?
Hi, Diva. Just wanted to chime in. I'm really excited that several on this call, had accepted invitations to for a panel at the American Society for Public Administration's Best Practices Conference. That'll be at Miami-Dade College North Campus on February 19th. So Marissa will be a speaker, Jim, Pat, and Josh's boss, Dr. Sandra LaFleur. So, of course, if you're in town, but I think this is also a great opportunity just for FCA to really establish itself, like you said, right along the lines of this strategic area.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So the data that we were able to convince Doug, he didn't need a lot of convincing, but it was a very large effort. He looked at the data from 2008, the Civic data, all the way up to 2023, which is the last data. There is apparently going to be a 25 data catch. And but that is probably going to be, at least in the foreseeable future, the last data that is going to be provided, at least in this administration. So, and I think we've been talking with some national folks, and pretty much everybody is using that assumption to plan going forward. So part of this is we want to build, again, capacity for data analytics and digital reach. We're relying very heavily on Doug for his expertise in this area, demonstrated through back to the initial several reports that the Fry and Graham Center put together on civic health and civic issues. But we're also aware that we need to find some younger folks who will be able to are interested, engaged, and able to. So we're looking at doctoral students and others, and trying to kind of figure out how we can best get. Uh, Doug, you want to say something?
No, 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 no. I was just celebrating looking for younger people.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're looking at beyond, we're going to do a report in early 26 on seniors and senior and involvement, or connecting seniors to civic life. And we're going to look at the existing data that I think essentially we'll look at all the data from 2008, but I think 2017 to 23 is the focus of the where we'll kind of get the information and the data, and then the analysis. And we're hoping to have stories, probably more so than the first report we did, and so we're engaging with AARP and some of the centers around university centers around the state on aging, the Pepper Institute here or Pepper Center here at FSU and elsewhere, and in associations. So we're going forward with that, but we're also thinking about the fact that after 25, where would we find data? And we also are aware that this data from the census is difficult to get down to the county level. I mean, difficult to take the data and have it guide policymaking at the county level, and below, down to zip codes and neighborhoods.
Hey, Bob, I would say it's not difficult. It's actually impossible. Wendy Spencer and I, at one point, when I was the chair of Volunteer Florida, talked to the guy who created the information in the, it was actually somebody in the IRS. And that exactly what you said is exactly the case. They just do what they do, and they don't do any more. There's no digging down from what they provide. Right. And that guy's probably way gone now anyway.
So one of the things that we're looking ahead, we're going to do this report on seniors, but we're looking ahead because we're looking at, there are some national data sources on civic participation. Basically, one source is all the 501c3 999s and all that data, and you can search that data, et cetera. And we're looking at that. And that goes down to, Doug, I think that goes down to at least the county level.
It actually goes down to census tracts and zip codes.
So this was an area that we would love to get anyone who's interested in data and kind of reimagining how we can provide data down to the community level, because we see the limits of, there already were limitations on the data that we presented in the statewide context, but we want to be able to provide some data that could guide communities as they're thinking about civic life and connections and engagement. So we're thinking about that. We're also wanting to kind of test out some strategies for local pilots. And currently we have 3 communities in mind, and partly because 3 of our board members reside in each of those communities. Jim in Miami-Dade, Tim Dutton in Sarasota, and Janice Lucas, Commissioner Lucas, City Commissioner in Panama City. And as you might think about those 3 cities, 3 communities, Miami-Dade, what is the current population of Miami-Dade?
About 3 million.
3 million. Sarasota, city of Sarasota is about 60,000, Tim?
Right.
Yeah. And then Panama City is about 30,000. And very different contexts. Different parts of the state with different historical, cultural issues, political issues. And so we're thinking we would work initially, and we're also again in terms of capacity trying to think about how we can try and create sort of laboratories at the local level that test out strategies that really fit the community and rebuild trust. So we're thinking about this in the context of local government, who have not always embraced the effort to build civic engagement and connections. And we're also thinking about this in the context of community organizations and investment in participation. So this is kind of part of a strategy to both secure data, but also to develop some pilots and to be able to test and document some of those pilots. And there's going to have to be funding in order to do that. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions about the strategies that are laid out here, or any suggestions about how we go about this.
Well, I would say, Bob, that you're right. We have board members in those areas. We also have good partners, and the screen shows the breadth of the support network in Miami-Dade. So I don't want to say it's because of my presence or Madochi or Natalia, who are each in their own rights are working in this area. I would just say at the local government level, we use that term, but it's not, if you don't have a person, and either one of the elected officials or more, or dedicated staff like Pat Morris and the office of the mayor, it's difficult. We can have a really supportive group at our universities, which we have, and they're going to be able to do a lot of work. But to move the local government part of it, you need someone willing to be that leader. We've been lucky to have Mayor Danielle Levine Cava, who will tell you that her DNA is civic engagement. But she's got a lot on her plate. We have a new mayor of Miami, who I believe just sworn in yesterday, will be of much the same light. So I think Miami-Dade, we're going to put the pieces together, and we'll have an example of a large urban county in many facets moving ahead next year. Any of my co-conspirers want to add?
I think Rob hands up.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Rob.
I'll just add that I think with the universities, I can already think of two faculty members in political science who do work around civic data. So students of theirs could probably be in collaboration with students from MDC and FIU, working, with Pat and others. So, thinking through what does it actually look like to take the statewide data and then be able to aggregate the data for the county. And so, for example, we often use data from Tufts Circle around participation in civic activities for college students. So I think there are a lot of different ways that we can look at data when it's more localized, like at the county level. Using the statewide framework for the data, but then kind of drilling down, like Bob, you were talking earlier about seniors. We could look at students, et cetera. But I think if we kind of put in place a mechanism whereby, each of the universities could work with faculty, and they then could suggest students who could be part of this larger local project, it's something that could be feasible where you wouldn't necessarily need a significant amount of funding to at least get the data part done, because it could be part of something that students are doing as part of their work.
Great.
I think Pat wanted to add.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I basically want to say anything that Robin says, anytime, anywhere. And then I can say anything that Agatha says. And then while I'm saying it, anything Josh Young says as well. So super excited to have them as part of this. I'm just going to say this guy straight out. I mean, for those of you who know me, Daniel Levine Cava, I'm really trying to position this as the work we're going to do over the next 3 years. Again, amongst, as Jim said, many other competing things like America 250, which literally just got dropped on our plate, 2 weeks ago. And so, but my point is, I think this civic work that we're looking to do is a legacy piece of work for her. And she will look back on that and say, boy, I'm really glad that, that our team, led also by Ibis Valdez, who's up to her neck in toy drive right here. So I think she's going to try and jump on right now for us. But, this team is committed to this, Bob and Jim and to the board. For those of you who know the mayor, I mean, I just think this, again, we need to figure out how we get it done without having to go back for permission for stuff. But I know we've talked about this concept of a civic hub, and I've talked to some people locally. There's not one place to go in our community where you can get information about advocacy, about volunteering, about board service, about corporate social responsibility, and I think that could potentially be housed with the county for a year or two, or kind of birthed by the county, but then find a home at the Community Foundation or at Philanthropy Miami, or one of a number of different places here locally. But I think that's a piece that again if we could get that started here, it's a concept that could easily be migrated around the state to other cities as well. So anyway, I'm all in.
All right.
Okay.
I think,
Cognizant of the time. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I'm just going to say, Ingrid and Murdoshi, might want to just introduce yourself briefly.
Yes.
They had done that initially. So.
Okay. Hi there. I'm Ingrid. I live in Gulfport, and I've been a member of Civic Advance for a while, and was fortunate enough to be able to present at your conference couple years ago now.
Yeah.
So you can see my chat notes. So there you go. Take it for what it is, and I'm happy to have a conversation to flesh it out.
And Murdochi, who is a board member, thank you for joining.
Of course. Good morning. Apologies for being tardy, but work duties called. Member of the board, current government and external affairs director for Tillman Fiber. Thank you.
So we're all introduced. I kind of interjected Miami-Dade, and we have a lot of people here. But Tim, do you want to say anything about Sarasota, and we'll hand it back to Bob?
Sure. Real briefly, we have looked at the Sarasota approach from the standpoint of a partnership with the city. We've met with all 5 commissioners. They're all interested in having Sarasota look at how it can do things differently in terms of generating inclusive civic engagement. That's the phrase we're using. A local foundation's interested. We're doing this as well in collaboration with the National Civic League. It's moving along, and now the question is, so how do we actually make this happen? And we're, as Bob has said many times in the last 10 minutes, we don't have a lot of resources as an organization. So that's a conversation that we're having now to figure out how to move forward and be sort of in a coordinative role. Stay tuned. We'll know more in another couple months.
Okay, I'm going to give it back to Bob and welcoming Ibis Valdez. You want to say hello, Ibis?
Hey, everybody. No worries. It's Ibis. Ibis only during tax season.
That's right. All right. I'm sorry.
No, no worries. No worries. Hello, everyone. So happy to be along with my colleague, Pat.
Great. All right, Bob, back to your presentation. That was good interjection of people doing what they're doing in their areas. Good.
Right. So we looked at how we've been involved in civic education, written fairly broadly. We and we identified the fact that $150 million has been poured into K-12 and higher ed over the last 3 years, and uh, it's flush with money and ideas, and we're thinking is what we really can focus on and help think about is to promote a notion of lived civics so that experience, because adults, residents are different in general in terms of their learning styles from students in the classroom. And so we're trying to explore this, and this is like a kind of out there strategy, because I think we need to find statewide and local partners to advance this idea of experiential resident learning opportunities that could help with the issue and the measurement of low levels of community participations, and see that as an unmet community need, and then develop a set of civic literacy and skills learning agenda to promote civic participation through convenings and through presentations at partner meetings and et cetera. We've started this process. We were able to talk with I think that's Evis.
She got it. She caught it.
Yeah. So we talked with and had an opportunity to present this to the all the chapters of the League of Women Voters about a month ago, and we are kind of working, following from that. We're thinking about some strategies that emerged from that conversation with the chapter leaders, and we may have some ideas going forward. We're also presented this to the Florida Philanthropic Network, and they have an interest group on that is involved in or focused on civic engagement, and so we're exploring. This is not a thing where we have an idea all set and ready to go. It's an idea to see if there is an appetite for collaboration on thinking about residents. And I think one of the great examples currently is the Civics Academy that Miami-Dade did, convened with the library system and University of Miami, and was just evaluated. And
FIU.
FIU, yes, thank you. So that's an example of how to think about resident education. It was engaging, and there now is going to be there's going to be a 2.0 version of that in the coming year. Yeah, I think so. At any rate, so this is an area that we identified partly was a result of Doug's presenting at our kind of annual board meeting in the summer. We held it at Sandy's offices at the Central Florida Foundation. Doug presented a review of investments in civic education, K-12 and higher ed. And so we decided to not try to engage in that, because there is a lot of effort and resources that have been devoted over at least over the last 4 or 5 years, legislative appropriations. The leading example is a $50 million recurring investment at the Hamilton Center, who's now going to become the Hamilton College at the University of Florida. A $50 million annual recurring, that is very unusual. So at any rate, we were thinking about orienting towards adult civic learning and in particular experiential learning with adults. So I'll stop there, and if there are any questions or suggestions or thoughts. Okay. Hearing none, I will. So this is the last section, and this like the first section is related to capacity, and so we have over the last several years with the all volunteer board, we've as Ingrid mentioned, we did a late 2019 2023 Civic Summit in St. Pete, statewide in orientation, brought a lot of really interesting perspectives from the national frame as well as some local issues, including Gulfport and Ingrid presented, and Miami-Dade, and Pat and Jim presented on the initiative. It is now the well, at any rate, so we convened that, and we have then turned our in the last year we turned our focus on developing some better data sources, and presented this report now in September of this year, and we're hoping to do the next report on seniors, and then possibly in later 26 a report that will look at civic participation and look at the data on civic participation at a more local level with different data sources. So that's kind of where we're going. And in terms of membership, we've not been a really active membership organization, but we have we feel like we're now have something that we can offer both for members and then for those beyond, and that we have also pretty good relationships with national, state, and national partners. We've exploring in the 250-year celebration, we're exploring work with the National Conference on Citizenship. They have a program that they're going to be launching with support from national foundations around the country, highlighting or utilizing community foundations to have it's called the American Conversations Project. And they're going to have over 100 around the country, hopefully a number in Florida, and kind of guided by NCOC and the community foundations to have conversations about where we are, where we're going in terms of more broadly in terms of civic life in communities. So that's an example. We're hopefully going to be working to see how we can add value in that. They're also going to do a civic report card for the 250 celebration for each state. So they're going to have 50 states. They want to utilize our recent report to have Florida be captioned and captured in their broad report card. So we're also working with the National Civic League. They're working with us in Sarasota, but also we're working on a healthy democracy ecosystem map. It's a mouthful, but they've had 12,000 plus organizations around the country. They have 420 in Florida, and it's a broad range of organizations that are somehow connected or interested in healthy democracy, civic life, etc. So we're going to work with them to see if we can add to that number, but also help to see how to build that network and have be facilitating that effort. So those are kind of examples of partnerships that we think we can bring. When we've done all of our summits, we've tried to bring in the thought leaders from around the country, and have been pretty successful in that. So we have good set of relationships around the country that are about civic leadership. The final thing on this is that we've for several years we've thought that we need a broader council of advisors and to provide advice. And so we're now thinking about how to operationalize that because you may serve on advisory councils and they may never meet, or they may meet, or they may feel like their advice is not being engaged with and received and then acted upon. So we are thinking about that in terms of broadening perspectives that can be part of our strategies. Our board members will probably add several more board members, but it will be very, you can't represent a complete picture of Florida in terms of all the diversity on a board where you have to deal with geography, you have to deal with diversity in all respects, and to try and bring people who are kind of thought leaders, et cetera. So,
Bob, look, we got about 5 minutes. So
yeah.
why don't you, there's some more slides. Why don't you run through them and then I'd like to be sure we end with an opportunity for anybody to make comments.
Yeah. I think I'm not going to proceed through most of the slides because we talked about them in the context of this, but this is, if you're not familiar, this was our first report in September of this year, Advancing Civic Connections. And you look at the mostly above 40. This is sort of the picture of how Florida, in terms of this data, ranks in the lowest level. It's been basically 37 is the piece. I'll just mention that we're trying also to think about action. And this, in the report, there's a call to action, and we have, strengthen community participation, and have some examples of that. Comprehensive and accessible continuing civic education, and we're strategizing about adult education, and then ensuring access to accurate information. And we're looking at Press Forward and some other initiatives that are trying to look at the local media ecosystem and how that can be linked up with civic engagement, civic participation, and the like. So I think this is the Connecting Seniors next report, and then we're going to be thinking about a third and fourth report. I think you've already we've sort of described the pilots very briefly. Panama City is the least developed. We're trying to find resources. It's not a resource-rich area in terms of foundations and the like. But we're working with the city commissioner and the mayor there to explore some ideas. Yeah. So, Jim, I think this is the last slide is just what do you think are our strategies that we can be exploring, refining, et cetera, and how do you see roles that you can play in the future of civic life in Florida communities? Broad questions, but
okay. Well, let me open it up for anybody to make any closing thoughts or responding to Bob's thoughts. I think Pat, Pat, you're on. Looks like you're talking, but you're on. There you go.
I am sorry. So I just want to say thank you to Bob and Jim and to everybody else for putting this together. I mean, I think this is super exciting, and I think we're at a point in time where we need this conversation more than ever, without any political statement there. But I think that it's excited that we can maybe attract some folks who haven't been involved in this kind of work before. And, go back to what Robin said, and I was going through security, so I couldn't respond. But, we did do this 10 years ago. And one of the questions that, I'm embarrassed to say, I'm a one-man show at Wells Fargo, so I had no more bandwidth. But in the document is a quote by me that said, again, not my original quote, but if not us, who? And if not now, when? And if we don't start moving on this, we're going to be having this conversation 10 years later. And here we are 10 years later, exactly what Robin said. It was look, great ideas, and they all seriously stayed on the shelf. So I think the commitment going forward is how can we do, maybe not be quite as big in thinking as we were, that we didn't accomplish really anything, as opposed to, some focused things where we can do in our individual communities and share with other communities once we show, the success. Like the Citizens Academy was hugely successful. We learned a whole lot about it. We had great partners at UM and at FIU. This year, I think we're engaging more with Miami-Dade College as well. So I think this is that point in time where we got to do this. So super excited to be a part of this on behalf of the mayor.
I'll just add quick comments, echoing what Pat just said. This is the time to be working, and I think scaling it where you can do pilots and then report out the learnings, the lessons learned, as well as the data that comes out of this. I think perhaps the lack of response to the question is just that you've done a great job here in laying out the roadmap, and there's, other than just saying well done, I think the people on this call are likely just looking for whatever next steps we can plug in and do, and that may come out of conversations, post-call conversations or something like that, a little more pointed in that regard. But very exciting to hear all that is being done, as well as the challenges. So I trust we can keep going, and this is an important time to be doing this. So thanks for all your good work.
Thank you.
Just wanted to say hey to Dr. Caraballo and Pat. Hey guys, safe travels.
It's nice to see you.
Well,
I was going to just kind of echoes me. I think partnering with the universities, of course, are really going to be important. But also kind of echoing some of the comments in the chat earlier. I think the League of Women Voters, of course, is another great organization across the state to partner with. Engage Florida is doing a lot of stuff across the state as well. But one thing I think we found from the Civics Academy is tapping into homeowners associations. That's a great, really civically engaged group that's, raring to kind of give back and tend to be very organized.
Yeah, good point.
Yves.
No, and also, I mean, just on my part as well, yeah, I know Dr. Carvalho was such an amazing partner for the Civic Academies. I think just like that debrief session was one of the top 5 best meetings I've ever had, like just in my position now, because it was just so full of insight, so full of, how can we improve and how can we, I'm always available here from a Hispanic cultural perspective, more than happy to recommend, especially now more than ever, because reasons. I think it'd be really great to strategically engage with partners that I think Agatha mentioned several, and I have also some that are more grassroots as well, but maybe more Miami specific. But I have done statewide work as well, so happy to also connect with other groups.
Thank you.
That would be happy to participate.
I think we've done well. This is Bob. Look, as a board, we couldn't even have this convening if it weren't for Bob Jones. He is not only unpaid; he is forever invested in making this organization successful. And as one board member, on behalf of the board itself, we want to thank him. But the other side is equally important. We need to have your input, support, point us to statewide issues and how we can help you with the local issues. I know the Civic Academy was a great exercise, and anything a summary or anything that we can share through our mechanism, our board site, we welcome the opportunity to do that, and other examples in other local governments. So Board members, anybody want to add as we make our exit?
It's just really great to see familiar faces that have been at this for a very long time. So, I guess that'll just be my comments. And thank you also for the just active feedback that you all have given. Obviously, I wasn't on for the entire call, but when I did get on, I did hear some great comments. So we appreciate you all.
I guess I have a question to Pat or Evis. I know you guys received the final report from UM. Is that available to share?
I don't see a reason why not, but let me just confirm that. And yeah, I'm actually, for some reason, Bob, did I not send that to you? I thought that
Yeah.
got sent to you.
You sent it to me, but I wasn't sure whether it was for prime
Okay.
time. I'd love to post it on our website and feature it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get with Evie's right after this, and we'll get you an answer on that. I don't see any reason why not. So I think, the far and wide, the better.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, with that, I think we thank you for your time, what you're doing locally, and other components of this work. And we want to wish you all happy holidays and a safe time with your families and wherever you might be traveling. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Happy holidays.
Bye. Ciao.